Well, good morning. It's Jay Michael here in Tyler, Texas. Welcome to Mentor Monday on June 2nd, 2025. I saw a post this morning that said we're 44.3% through the year. So wow, where did this year go? I think back to when we started our challenges back in January, Jillian, on what we're going to do this year on a quarterly, monthly, and here we are halfway through the year almost already. So
Oh, wow.
welcome to Mentor Monday. Always welcome. We got to see some familiar faces, some new faces from around the globe. From a really special educational Mentor Monday today. But before we get started, really the only announcement I want to make for June, not the only, but is that this Wednesday, corporate is launching a new pack. It's a menopause pack, so it's probably mostly for women, but it's going to be on the U.S. sales team page. They're going to go live. You can go on there and see that actually you can RSVP for the event and then join them. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. And this is the first Mentor Monday of the month. We've got a great month ahead of us. We're starting early in the month on the 2nd, so we got a full month ahead to really grow our businesses and get around the world. We do have, if you're not following Dave Daughtry's website, we'll put that in the chat, and particularly his calendar. All the meetings that Dave has on our group, in our Upline Pro group, are on his calendar. We've got one tonight. We've got Health Talk Tuesday from Nairobi, Kenya on Tuesdays. We've got opportunity meetings where you can bring your guests to on Wednesdays, Thursdays. There's just a variety of English meetings you can find on his calendar with the links to join the Zoom meetings. But I want to turn this over to Jillian real quick. She's going to introduce our guest today and tell us where we're going to be going today. Hi, Jillian.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say hi to everybody in Facebook land. We're also going live right now, streaming live in the Upline Pro Inner Circle. It's a private community, so don't worry, Fernando. We're not blasting you all over all the, social media outlets all over the world right now. So it is private. It's for those members of our Upline Pro team and anybody else that's in part of that community. So please make sure that you're in the Upline Pro community, that if you have any questions, we do have Claudia that's going to help respond. But today is actually a really interesting topic because having worked in corporate land, and now I'm actually a dedicated affiliate, I never thought I'd ever do that in my life, but I had to write the right company. And fortunately, For Life checked off all the boxes that I was looking for to make my life a legacy commitment. And that's what I did with For Life. So I understand when we start talking compliance, it can be scary. But you know what? It isn't scary. It's not scary. We all have different markets. We all have to work with who we communicate or how we communicate. And there are some set rules, but they're kind of like guidelines there for you to be able to effectively market your position and your love of what we know is amazing, which is a For Life company and products and people and passion and purpose. And we want to make sure that we are giving you the guidance that we make sure that you are celebrating what we know is amazing in the right way. So we have, fortunately, amazing support people. And I'm not going to say that this person's in charge of compliance because he's not. He is somebody that there is here to support us on behalf of the company. We do have infrastructures in place. There is actually, a link and, to who you can email if you have questions. There's a lot of resources, by the way. The company's really good at creating resources for you to reference. So today we're going to just have the opportunity, and I'm very proud to introduce Fernando Caballero. I had the pleasure of meeting him in person when I was in Utah, and I swear if I actually could create like a male version of myself from my former days, Fernando is that guy. Okay, he's there to make you have fun. He wants to make sure you're welcome. Even my husband and I were just talking about Fernando. My husband says hi from Chris, that I met somebody that I really resonated to because he took the time and effort to listen and then expand upon it. So he knew that he was interested, and he appreciated that. So this is why I think it's great Fernando showing up, because he did a little presentation at our event talking about compliance, but he made it really fun and interactive. And like I said, he's not the guy to go to ask questions long term, but he's a guy that I thought would be great to present the topic tonight. So without further ado, I just want to add a spotlight to you and hand it over to you, Fernando, and maybe you can give a little insight as to how you started your journey with For Life, because it's not just about the topic, it's about getting to know the people behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you. Thank you. Those are extremely kind words, Jillian. Thank you, Michael. It's, the topic of compliance, it really is, I do enjoy it. I'm going to say, I think it's happened to all of us, though. When we start talking about compliance, one of the things we start to realize is it seems a little scary. It seems a little intimidating of compliance. And that's one of the first things I wanted to tackle with, because what through For Life, one of the things I've noticed is that one of the main things is we have passionate affiliates, and we have passionate affiliates everywhere. The other tricky part you're going to notice is we have a highly effective product. We have a product that's so effective that sometimes we start saying too much. And in that process, we start crossing some lines. And that really is I'll mention a little bit about myself here. I do cover the sales area. When I work with the US, I work with mainly in Spanish, but it's through sales, which the reason I mention that is because I hear a lot of testimonials. And I think that's the main part where that's kind of the essence of one of the things that I like to hear. And you know it better than anyone else. It's compelling. When you hear someone, I took this product and I had this effect. And it's direct because it is genuine, because it's a testimony. People didn't know much. And sometimes at that point, certain folks don't want to mention it and anything else because they don't know anything else, but they do know that they took a product and now they feel better, or they took something and now that's not happening anymore, or whatever the reason they took the product isn't, that they're not having those issues, which means the more the testimonials, these testimonials sometimes kind of take a little life of them in themselves. And what happens is sometimes we say things we shouldn't be saying. Now, I'm going to ask you guys all a question. Do you have a favorite product of For Life? And I'm going to go ahead and see if you can, if you want to, I want it to be as interactive as possible, but do you happen to have a favorite product in the company? Let's see. I'm going to take a look here. Would you guys agree there's a favorite product?
Transfer factor. Wow.
Transfer factor. Okay. I see Gloria raise her. She's given us H Pro. I see in the chat. Now,
cardio.
Would you, Michael? Okay. And sorry to pick on you. Maybe it's because you're wearing that nice yellow shirt. I can see it. Michael, would you be able to tell me about that product in about 15 seconds?
Cardio or burn? Cardio.
Let's go with cardio. You mentioned cardio. Go ahead and tell me about
I've been
cardio.
on cardio for 10 years now, and
okay,
really transitioned into this new one that has really been enhanced. And I can say it's just a product that's an overall supplement, support a heart. I'm 74 years of age, and so it's a product that I am adamant about, passionate about, and it's really made a difference in my life. It's one of the top selling ones I sell and talk to seniors about, senior men and women as they age. So,
okay, time out. Did Michael do a great job telling us about cardio? His testimony of cardio? Michael, would you have changed it a little bit if, for example, if I was standing next to you or if I was sitting next to you, would you have said a few additional things about cardio?
Possibly. I'd ask some questions, or if I knew you, absolutely. And whether it be a men's breakfast, because I hear all the time now, my senior men's breakfasts I go to, I've got this heart condition, my cardiologist is telling me that, and then I can say, hey, what are you taking for that? A lot of them just will say red yeast rice. A lot of them will say some other products, that they take, where our product is all encompassed, has red yeast rice in it, so has CoQ10 in it.
We'll do another timeout right there, Michael. And the reason I bring it up is the following. When we talk about compliance, over 96% of any of the information compliance sends out is actually not even product related. Did you guys know that? Sometimes we assume that if I put something online that compliance is coming in with a heavy hand, and the majority of the time, it's actually not because of a product claim. It's usually because of a business claim. If it's a business claim, usually they're more aggressive. So just a little bit about what we're talking about. The regulations that we're under as a company are the following. We are members of the, we're members of the DSA, but there's regulation agencies that you guys are very familiar with, and these are happen to be, when you're talking about the FTC, which is a commission designed about regarding business, and one called the FDA, and the FDA is the Food and Drug, and their responsibilities are a little bit different. But we have these two entities. Now, when we make claims, let's say Michael talks about the cardio, the claims regarding cardio are going to fall. Oh, sorry, I went back. They're going to fall underneath that FDA. If Michael were to tell me, you know what, and after I took cardio, not only was I healed, at the same time, I took cardio and I became a millionaire. Because he's introduced the business side, now it's under the FTC as well. So because I have selective amnesia, I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys one more time. So if it's a product claim, which of the two agencies would it fall under to comply with?
FDA.
Which one?
FDA.
The FDA, exactly. So anytime that you mention money or you make claims about the earnings, then it becomes under the view of the FTC. Now, I mentioned something to you a little bit earlier, just about 2 minutes ago. I mentioned which percentage of claims that we send out as a company through compliance are a violation of the FDA or the FTC. Do you remember that? I mentioned it just slightly, but just so and the reason I brought it up is so you can kind of see just the proportion that it's very lean towards one specific agency. Now, can anyone tell me what that was? I mentioned it, but my selective amnesia always gives me trouble. Which one did what percentage did I say first of all? Do you remember? It was a really high number in percentage. Maybe you're still trying to adjust the. I'll go ahead. I'll say it again. It was about 97%. So 97% of all the letters that come through 4Life to affiliates, 97% have to do with FTC related. In other words, business related. Now, the reason is when we talk about the quality of the product, when we talk about the manufacturing of the product, we follow very strict FDA guidelines, the Food and Drug. So anything regarding the product. Actually, because the FDA, there's a lot more history regarding on that the lines are very clear on FDA. The FTC, on the other hand, they kind of switch, they shift a little bit, and it's a little harder. At the same time, they're a little bit more stern. So the first suggestion I would give to you guys today is if you're going and making claims, start putting them, at least try to fielding them a little bit more towards which of the two?
Product.
Now, and I'm going to teach you how to go ahead and do that without crossing the line as well. Because at the end of the day, I think all of us have a pretty good understanding of what we should and we shouldn't be saying. How many of you guys know what a red light is? With your driver's license, when you went through the DMV, you went through the process of learning how to drive. I think that's a universal term. When there's a red light, what do we do?
Stop.
We stop. And we won't start till what comes up? A green light. And that doesn't matter what kind of car we're driving. In fact, it doesn't matter if we're riding a bicycle. It doesn't matter on that set, but we know where the red light is. That line through the FDA, through our products, is very clear. And these are the two things that in the United States, we call it the structure function. These are the two items that are actually the most solid items that we base it on. Are you ready? And this one, you can write it down. The structure function is, ready? A disease or a condition. So the two things we have to avoid are disease and condition. So let's say, and I apologize if I mispronounce it, Dodie? Is that correct? So Dodie's talking to me and she goes, you know what, Fernando, one of the things one of the things I absolutely love, I love the Glue Coach, because the Glue Coach has helped me with my diabetes. You know that, Fernando. I've been battling with diabetes for a long time. I've been taking the Glue Coach, and one of the things it's helping me do is lower my blood sugar levels. Dodie, that's awesome. You know, that I love that. Now, question for you guys is, that type of a conversation, that type of a claim, let's say we put that, is that allowed or not? From what we just talked about with the disease or condition. Anna says no. Who else says no? Let's see. Don't be shy, guys.
It is not.
Rita says yeah. Okay. In this case, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what her blood work shows. It doesn't matter the improvement she's had. In this case, it's a no. All right, so I have my red light right here. Are we good? So let's rephrase it, because the majority of the time, and if we know that the majority of the things we're doing, we're talking about product. The majority of the times we're talking about testimonials. The majority of the time we're saying, hey, this happened because of the product. So as leaders, as you're starting the process, one of the things that you'll be able to do is just, you listen to the testimonial. So let's try the same thing. Dodie tells me, you know what, Fernando, you know that I've had health issues, especially with my blood sugar level. So what I do, I take Glue Coach to help me metabolize that sugar. She said the same thing. Would that be okay to say? Now I'll go ahead and I'll peruse here through. Anna says yes. Who else says that's okay? What about you, Rita? What do you think? Marissa says yes. Okay. Anyone else says yes? Laura, you should know, you're in Chicago. Is that okay to say it that way? Laura, is that good or is that bad, the way we did it the second time? Good. Okay. All right, Laura. What was the difference? So now, what was the main difference? Michael, what would you say was the difference in that one?
You didn't mention the word diabetes.
I didn't mention diabetes.
You didn't mention the disease or the
Right.
You didn't mention the disease.
So Michael, let's go back to the example. You told me cardio, and you didn't go into in detail. You told me basically that it's helped you. You know, and one of the things I want to know, Michael, is that a product I should be taking because I have high blood pressure, and you know how that is, and you know that my HDL is also a little bit wonky as well. Is that a product that would be able to help me?
It's
Now, the
possible.
reason I bring up the question like this is because the majority of the time when you're having a conversation, they're not asking you, hey, Michael, is there anything that might help me with my already my already normal levels of cholesterol? Is that how the question comes in when they ask you about a product, or they ask you about a benefit from a product? They're direct, right? Everyone is very direct. So we can't stop people from asking. So if Dodie were to ask me specifically, you know, she has something for does 4Life have something for arthritis? Because, you know, her hands have been aching quite a bit. My response would immediately be, Dodie, you know what? We don't have something for arthritis, but, you know, we have fantastic products that help support the structural system. In fact, they're great to make. And you redirect the same question, even though you're answering the exact same thing. What you're doing is you're avoiding the condition or the disease. So anytime because you'll know the products, just redirect it. If they're asking you about blood pressure, I know they want me to say cardio, but you know what? I'm going to talk about the product that gives them full cardiovascular support. And by doing that, you actually, you continue that, you maintain the essence of that testimony, but then at the same time, you're protecting yourself. Now, it's when you're having those conversations one-on-one, it's usually never the case. It's not something that compliance is looking at. The majority of the time, it's when we're making those posts, when we're making those claims, when we're sharing those pictures. That's when usually the systems and the different programs that are being utilized, both in-house and then third party, those are the things that usually come up. That's why if you stay away from mentioning a condition or stay away from mentioning a disease, that low percentage is going to drop even more. And one of the things that, and I'll get back to it, what happens if we do get a letter. So I'll say that in just a second though. But once again, I can't reiterate enough. If we stay away from mentioning either a condition or a disease, we're fine. So what would be a better way to say, let's say I'm talking about, we've mentioned arthritis, we've mentioned diabetes. What if I were to say, you know what, Jillian, you know my condition. I've been battling cancer for this amount of time. Isn't that a good product to take? How would you redirect me there, Jillian? And I gave you a hard one.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I'd say, knowing me, I say, I'm sorry you're going through so much suffering. Okay. Okay. Number one. All right. And then, may I ask, like you say, you've been battling cancer for a long time. Have you had an opportunity to, first of all, talk to I always refer back to the doctor. Like you have to always go back to the doctor, right? And ask them, so what advice has the doctor, given you to help you maybe, with your health concerns? And then I would segue based on what the response is.
Right. Is that a good response, everyone? Yeah, so instead of the red side, we're going to show you the I don't have a paddle with a green side right now. So the block will be that was well done. One of the things you did is that you could go ahead and do that. What you can't mention cancer. Can you mention about the attributes of the immune system, transfer factors and the immune? Absolutely. You can talk about the immunity. You can talk about what it's doing to boost the immune system. You know what? In your condition, I know that a lot of the times the immune system takes a beating, and that's exactly what you want to make sure you do. And then you can enter that conversation. Oh, was that a question came in?
No, we just want to make sure that the mute people. 1 second. Thank
you.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So that was because I know that one comes up a lot, Fernando, and it's like the challenge is. May I ask a question about the support? So you're talking about support tools, I think because we all get scared about what we can and cannot say, right? But you have some really great support tools that For Life has already done, and created for us. So I know there'll be a lot of questions at the end, but I just think it'd be great to find out what those are.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and that's one of the things what we like to do is we like to be able to provide as much as we can. And believe us, as a company, we would love to publish absolutely everything. We'd love to publish the type of cells we're using when we're doing the clinical study, all that information. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to. And for cells, I'm sure those would help us dramatically, but we play by the rules, and we want to make sure that everything stays by the rules as well. And that's why we try to develop these types of tools. And one of the things that is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, please do.
And one of the things that we've done actually is that we've created some additional tools, things that are a little bit more didactic, and that way you can actually see. I'm gonna get that out of the way. You can kind of see here the things that you can say, and then one of the things that you'll talk about. Notice number 2: researchers develops products that educate different kinds of immune cells, including natural killer cells, B cells, T cells. I mean, you'll notice that the more you talk about the immune system, that's absolutely allowed. If you want to go a little bit more depth, that's fine. One of the things that you'll start noticing is there's a lot of things here that you absolutely can say. The more you see here, the more information, it allows you to be able to speak with more confidence. The majority of the time you have strong testimonies about these products because you've seen it, you're still taking the products yourself. But at the same time, we want to make sure, and by the way, the list continues here on the things that we do. This one's called the 50 things. Now, what are you going to see on here? What are you not going to see? You won't see the words heal. You won't be able to see those words because if you stay away from those types of words, curing is also a word that you're not going to find. And those are just a magnet of the types of things that you're going to say, hey, I took this and it cured. What's going to happen, that word cured is going to be associated with either a condition or a disease. The majority of the time, that's what it's going to be associated with. And that's why those programs, those systems, they will just target those immediately. Now, these aren't the only ones. The main tool is the following. If you were to receive a letter, you know what, Fernando, you got a letter because you were sharing the, you were talking, we saw you mention online, you mentioned, let's pick any product. Let's go back to Renuvo. Why? Because I was talking about arthritis. I told everyone that now I can stand up working my 12-hour shift and my knees aren't hurting and there's no inflammation anymore. Well, I got a letter from compliance. Now, one of the things that ends up happening is the lettering, the wording is actually very scary, very intimidating. The majority of the time, all compliance looks for, all compliance wants is just that communication. So let's say you have a collection. Let's say Claudia has a collection of 30 to 40 letters. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean that Claudia is a bad person. It doesn't mean Claudia is just, she's breaking all the rules. What it means is that she is communicating. So anytime there's any sort of audit, what they see is For Life has sent a letter for this. And there's good communication. Claudia did the following. She made an adjustment. She made a switch. She took down the post. And that transition, when they make an audit, it makes the company, makes everyone compliant. Now, the tricky part though, Claudia, she might be more seasoned. She might be someone who understands those letters. But if I just started and all I wanted to tell people is, my arthritis, it seems a bit, I feel so much better now, even though I've been, I'm still working. I still have arthritis. When I get that letter, it's scary. So it really is, we need to look out for each other. In other words, if my name's Michael, my name's Jillian, if I'm Claudia, what I want to do is I want to make sure my team is fully aware of that. Aware of what? Aware that if a letter is sent, let's just make the adjustment. Let's just make the tweak. Because we don't want to squash that testimonial. We don't want to squash the energy. You know how exciting it is when someone comes in, when someone's excited, when someone sees change, they're seeing change in their friends, they're seeing the change in those around them. And all of a sudden, I got a letter from compliance. And that's why one of those things that we want to make sure, and I'll show you how to get to these types of documents in just a second. The main thing you could possibly do in this situation is, as a leader, be as communicative as you can with them, being able to say, hey, you know what, that's happened to me as well. Let's go ahead. Let's just send that email to compliance. That's all they're looking for. The letters might be huge. It might feel like they're disproportionate to what you said. A lot of times it's because it's the way they're written, because they have that effect. They're designed, they're written to create that effect. And that's why it seems scary. And that's why it seems like, they're out to get me. All compliance wants to do is they need to have that ready for when the audit comes. When the audit shows up, all they're going to see is, you know what, we sent this letter to Luis Gonzalez and it came back within 7 days. No problem. That's exactly what they're looking for. That's exactly the type. So the majority of the time, go over the information, see what it is you're posting. That way you can keep a good balance of keeping that energy, that enthusiasm of look what's happening in the team. The same thing happens when those checks start to get a little bigger. Find a way to be able to still have that positive energy with it and just redirect it. The important part is that you've communicated and you're in that process of communicating. Now, what I'm going to do, would you guys want to know where the document I just showed you might be? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Jillian, I snuck in with my phone. There, it should be under just Caballero.
I think do you want me to make you, I'll make you all right, be able to share, right? So it's 703, is that your number?
It's just under Caballero.
No, 1 second. Oh, there. Okay, I got you. Okay, I'm just gonna make you co-host. You can share.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to sneak in here. All right. Can you guys see that screen?
Yes.
Okay. I just noticed that it's in Spanish, so I'll go ahead and switch it in just a second. Now, what we're going to do, the majority of the things that you find on the app, you're going to find in this section. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to sneak over to that. Do you see that blue bar?
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the information is underneath those 3 lines that are on the right-hand side. I didn't know this. I learned this later on, but those 3 lines, maybe some of you guys might be some developers out there, but it's known as a hamburger.
Yep.
So it's the hamburger button. So we'll select the hamburger button just to open the information panel. So what I'm going to just quickly just change the language so I can. Okay. So this is the information you usually will see. Now, what we're going to do, though, we're going to go to this section down here because what we want to do, we want to open this part that says resources. Do you see that down there?
Mm-hmm.
We'll select it, and there's a whole bunch of different information. If we want to take a look to the newsletter, what are the specials? Or Michael mentioned there's going to be a menopause pack coming out on Wednesday. That if you want to know the latest information, you can use the newsletter. But you have a whole set of different just materials here. And if you continue coming down, you're going to notice that sheet that we saw. Now, why am I showing you this from the cell phone? Is because you guys from here now can share it. So let's say you click on it. Is this the document? I'm not even sure if that's the document I was looking for. It'll be here that it'll start coming up, the different documents that are available. And then you can start sharing them because all these documents are going to give you the option to share. Oh, it looks like the app is a little bit slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close and I'm going to do it one more time. And that's usually something I always do. I close it right away and I open it and then it comes up with a document. That usually happens in the app when you're going through those Google Docs. But here it is. But most importantly, not only do you have the sheet, you have the capability of being able to share it with your team. You know what? I just had a meeting and Michael was there and he's been making sure that we emphasize staying compliant and what we can say. I just don't remember the document Michael had on there. He could come here and you can share it. You can share it directly to, let's say he wants to put it in WhatsApp. He wants to put it in different types of chat. Anywhere you'd like to share that with your team or the way your team communicates, you can do that. Okay, so let's go back because it's an important enough document. I'm going to go back because of my selective amnesia, and I need a volunteer and someone who can open their microphone. Let's see who is willing. Anyone willing?
I can support you. Oh,
Who said that?
Jody.
Jody, I'm going to find your picture here, Jody. Well, first of all, thank you. And let's see, where are you, Jody?
Dodie
That's
with
my
a
own
D.
sound effects.
Dodie with a D. D-O-D-I-E.
Oh, okay.
Dodie.
Sorry, I
Jody.
didn't think about that. Thanks,
Dodie
Claudia.
Deep.
Jody, I've already picked on you today, haven't I?
I know, so I thought I'll just come in and help you.
Perfect. You know what? I just went to the meeting and we mentioned the document. I'd love to share that. I knew that it was in the app somewhere. I just don't remember where. Do you remember where it was? Can you help me? Can you walk me through? Here's my app. I have it open. I just, I don't remember.
Right. So you're going to go up to the top corner to this hamburger. I want to call it a sandwich, but the hamburger.
That sounds delicious. Where's that sandwich though?
It's the 3 stacks in the blue. You'll see 4.
Okay, right here. Oh, right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And I just touch on it.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Then go down
Okay.
to the very bottom where the white circle is with the arrow.
This one right here.
Yes.
Okay. And once again, I just touch it.
Yes. And
It's
then,
ringing a bell.
and then you're going to go over to resources and click
Oh,
on
right.
it.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, you said resources.
Correct.
Okay.
And then scroll down. Right in the business forms and documents is where we're looking, correct?
Right here.
Oh, no, it's right above it. Sorry. I knew
Right.
I see
Okay.
business forms.
There it is.
See, I guess you helped me too.
No, but that's the whole part of the process. We try to make it as easy as we'd like. Dodie, here's one thing I'm going to mention as well, and everyone here. If let's say you're already sure that that's the document, if you simply touch that, you could slide to the left,
And
and notice you could download it straight to your phone, and you could also share it there.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do that with a lot of these documents as well. If it's creating a link, if you want to go ahead and share it, you can do that by sliding. So I'm going to do that one more time just so you can see that. If you slide it, you can download it with a yellow button that's right here, or you can share it right there. If I don't even know that's the document that Fernando was talking about, click on it, and then it opens up. Maybe you know what? My eyesight is horrible. I don't even know if this is I see the giant 50. Go ahead, look. You can just, because it's a Google Doc, you could actually zoom in and out, no problem. Yeah, this is the one I wanted. Yeah, it's telling me about the killer cell. Okay, perfect. Now I can go ahead and share it. You could do that with a lot of the different items there on the app. Okay. One last person that's willing to help me. Dodie, thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for not holding it back on me that I've been picking on you. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else that would like to try? How about you, Rita? Oh, wait, Gloria? Okay. Rita, you're on deck. We're going to go ahead and we'll have Gloria help us.
What do you want me to do? Show you how to get there the same way Dodie did, or?
You know what? Once again, Dodie showed me. I already forgot because I wasn't paying much attention. I'm new to this. I'm new to the cell phone. So go ahead. Help me, Rita.
Okay. So you want to go to the top left corner to the hamburger and tap on it.
Here in the blue?
See the three lines? It looks like a hamburger or sandwich. Yeah.
Right there. Right there. Okay.
Yeah. Right there. Tap. And then going down to the bottom, there's an arrow, blue arrow pointing up inside of a white circle.
This one right in the middle?
Yep, right there.
Okay.
And then coming down to, it's not displaying yet, is it? I don't see resources. It should be here.
You're doing great. You're doing great so far, by the way. Do you see this one?
Ah, yes, there it is. Yeah, there you go. Resources. There you go. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Where do I go from here?
And then you can scroll down to where it says business forms and documents.
Right here?
Yes. And then find the document that you want to see. You scroll down.
In this case, Rita,
say 50 things that you can say. Just scroll down.
You're right on, but it's not under the business forms and documents. It's actually the last item of the section right before it. But it's right above it.
Okay.
Well, Rita, you're there. You're there.
Yeah. Okay. I just have to slow myself down, and if I was talking to my friend, there wouldn't be, you know what I mean?
No, this is perfect.
Right.
Okay.
And you can swipe left on that document, and there you can either download or share.
That's even better. I can download it right to my phone.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, Rita, well done.
Thank you.
All right.
Gloria, this will be the last time. Gloria, you're next.
You go to the three lines on the right side.
Okay, but you have to go a little bit slower. Remember, this is new for me.
Oh, okay. On the top, there are three lines on the right side. If you hit there,
Okay.
Okay, and then you go to the bottom where it's an arrow. It's a white circle there. You hit there. And then on the left side, it's resources. You go to resources. Hit the resources. And then you go down, keep going down to right before business forms and documents. There is 50 things you can say about For Life. You hit there. And you could find, okay, there are the documents. Also, you could go on top of that. There is the arrow to the left. You could hit there and you could forward that to whatever, WhatsApp or document or text, I would say.
Okay.
Can you hit there? Well, okay. The other thing is, which I just learned that, yes, when you turn to the left, you could download and also you could share. That is very good. I had no idea when you could do that. So that's good.
Perfect. Gloria, Rita, would it be something that you'd be able to easily share with someone on your team?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. And that's one of the areas. That's one of the areas that you could actually start using to be able to share. There's a lot of documents on there, but this one, because it has so many ties to to compliance, and more importantly on what you can say. And that's what makes it a little bit tricky, is the majority of the time people just want to know, can I say that? And that's why I mentioned there are two items with the structure function, two things that we stay away from anytime you make a post or a claim. I forgot. What are those two items? Let's see if someone remembers. This is a little harder question.
Disease or condition?
Who said, was that Gloria again? Okay, Gloria, absolutely, yes. Disease and condition.
Mm-hmm.
Disease and condition. That will be a magnet. Anytime you mention a disease, this will cure this disease, that will be a definite, you cannot say that. You cannot post that. The systems, the algorithms of the different programs that are utilized, that is a very effective way of getting notifications from compliance. Now, the disease you understand because the condition, I'm sorry, the disease, the condition part is a little trickier, because when you start mentioning high blood pressure, when you start mentioning certain other types of conditions that are related to another disease, conditions can also be something that you're not allowed to say. Okay. And conditions are usually the ones that will get people, you can tell, hey, Marissa mentioned something and it was the condition part. Marissa might have thought that it was a great post, and it could be a very compelling, very honest post, but because there's a condition on there, it might get flagged. Okay. Let's see. All right. So now to close, on the practical side, is there anyone right now that's willing to now, and we're gonna keep it, we're gonna be timing it in 15 seconds, just like Michael did at the beginning, but tell us about a product, why you like the product, and still be able to stay compliant. Anyone willing to share that right now? It's a little, this is at the, towards the very end. Claudia, you
I
unmuted your
want to,
microphone.
yeah, I want to try it because I am really confused about renewal. So if you help me, I think I'm going to finally, get over
Believe
my
me,
confusion.
I will be more than happy. And here's the other part. Within the team, if you're making sure that you are kind of tweaking and you're communicating with each other, it makes this conversation much easier. So for example, if Claudia's telling me I need to tweak my post, and Claudia and I don't speak very much, but you know what? And I take it defensively, I take it the wrong way, we miss an opportunity. And that's why the more we do this on a constructive side, the more constructive we are, the better this gets accepted, and it becomes a culture within the team, and it becomes more successful. And then those testimonies just catch fire and the organizations grow. Why? Because all we did is just kind of take a little bit more time to just improve the communication. And if I know that Claudia, when she's talking to me, she's not doing it to reprimand me, she's not trying to make me feel bad about my post. She just wants to help me. Perfect. All right, Claudia, but I am going to have a clock here, so I'm going to see if you can keep it within those 15 seconds.
I'm going to tell you about a product that helps me a lot every day because when I start feeling pain in my back, I am sitting down for a long amount of hours and I take Renuvo and it just helps me a lot with my back pain.
Okay.
That's one. So that's good. That's a green.
Hold on. I'm going to leave it open. This is open. It's an open forum right now. If any,
I
does
want to
anyone
do.
have
I want to do
ping
two
pong
tests.
paddles?
Okay.
You said you're talking about Renuvo, and the things you said were great. In this case, was it a disease or a condition that was brought up?
None, because I don't have a disease or a condition. I just sit for long hours, right? Let me see the people.
It was something you used the word on there.
Yeah, I purposely used it because I want you to tell me.
Okay, so
Condition.
Mari says condition. In this case, it's very subtle, but which one did you use? You used the condition, pain.
Pain, yes. Exactly. I did it on purpose, so you tell me about pain.
How about you replace it? I love what we shared. Could you tell us the exact same thing and instead of pain, use the word discomfort?
Okay. And I wanted to let you know about a product that I take every day because I sit for a long time, for a long amount of hours, I get discomfort and this product helps me a lot. Or it supports my long hours sitting down.
Does that work?
Of course. Okay.
Okay.
I want to try it again, but with the second word. Okay.
Okay.
I want to tell you about a product that it's really amazing. And sometimes when I am doing a repetitive movement, I get a lot of joint inflammation. So this product helps me a lot. Okay.
Okay. I saw some smiles there though.
What do people think? I want to get
Gloria,
let me
Gloria,
see
I saw
let me see in the
instantly
chat.
that the moment of
So I
Gloria.
want to see in the chat the other word because I always forget what the other word we can use instead of inflammation. Let me see the chat. Let me see the chat. Okay, guys, come on. What other word I can use that it's not my joints? I get inflammation of the joints. Okay, Fernando, you're going to have to give us the answer. I don't see anybody in the chat.
Okay, well, inflammation's a tricky one because once again, inflammation won't fall under the disease. It falls under a condition again. It's a result of something. So you have that inflammation. So that you'd have to go with a little bit more basic of a word. I would, in this case, I'd use discomfort again.
Discomfort.
You could describe it as long as you don't actually mention inflammation. You can describe the process. You can dance all the way around it, but the moment you mention a condition or a disease. So if you were to describe inflammation, you'd be fine. But the moment you use the word inflammation, it gets flagged. The systems flag it. And they're not going to flag it every time. I should be clear with that. It's not a system that all of a sudden immediately sees what Jillian's been posting and they'll know.
No. What about constant headaches? What can we replace with constant headache? People are all the time saying, oh, I used to get constant headaches. And now as I'm taking, because the problem is this, people are saying, I used to get constant headaches and migraines, but now that I'm taking transfer factor, I can find that it supports, but we still said constant headaches and migraines. So that's where I get confused because I know that when we are giving the solution, we say, but thanks that now my immune system is supported by transfer factor. So we go really good on the second part, which is like, it's amazing and it supports my immune system and da-da-da, but we still set the migraine word or the headache or the constant headache. So what happened there?
Technically, we wouldn't be able to mention it. In reality, when you're talking about constant headaches or constant headaches is much different than when you say chronic migraines.
Okay.
Because you said constant headaches, that that level is very, very low.
Got it.
It's usually the words like disease. When you talk about diseases, almost certainly it'll be diabetes, it'll be cancer, it'll be arthritis, it'll be any cardiovascular, any pulmonary, any hypertension. Those are things that
Yeah.
spark quickly. When you mention things like a headache, it's different. If you give it more of a technical name, if you go after chronic migraines, you run into a higher probability of being of that post being flagged. But headaches, to be honest, headaches usually, I don't think
It's
I've
a
ever
headache.
seen someone get flagged for a headache.
Okay,
All right.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Fernando.
So we do have about 5 minutes,
Sorry.
Fernando, and I know we have a couple questions out there. I just want to keep the questions. There'll be a lot of questions on this topic. I know there is, but if I don't see any major questions in the chat here, but I do have one that I'd like to ask Fernando. And I know, but. And I leverage this all the time because my brain is thankful, for recall. And, yes, I'm going to put a shout out there because it does help me feel better. Okay. Now I use ChatGPT a lot, and I give the prompts about making sure I'm compliant before I put something out there. So one of the things I use as a tool, whether or not this is something that you recommend, but those like little questions like that you can put in, what words could I use that's going to keep me compliant for the FTC or FDA or whatever organization that is, like, so that I can say what I want to say based on the regulations. And I actually put that in, and it does help me with some of the wording. What is your thoughts on that?
No, that's a fantastic tool, actually. The first time I saw it used successfully was we were at it was at a DSA meeting. It was a DSA. There's other direct sell companies there, and we were talking about AI, but in this case, they're using AI for compliance purposes. And what they found out that if you run let's say you put those parameters you just used, Jill, and you just described, and you run it a second time, by the time you run it a second time, it works perfectly.
Yeah.
Usually that initial one, it's not bad, but a little bit more tweaking, you run it a second time, and all those models they're running by the second time, it wouldn't get flagged.
And I know even JT, thank you for putting up there, he added the FDA disclaimer. So maybe just something as simple as these, can you make sure my statement correlates with this statement, which is these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So
Right.
There's some play with the prompts. I would just encourage people to just not get too bogged down with it, like to your point, right, today. And I know this is a tough topic for people to discuss, and there's a fear factor, but I just have to say thank you very much, Fernando, for making this fun. A big round of applause, and it's so nice to hear from corporate coming to the field. It's really important that you're listening to us and asking us those questions, because you can take those back with you. I know to head office and be that voice and conduit between the two of us. I do want to remind everybody, because it is closing up soon, but we do have another guest speaker next week. So we may need to send Dave away more often because I know he's busy. But I'll tell you, and unfortunately, he was hoping to be on the call today, but he's still getting caught up from being away for so long, and he's going to be getting ready to go to India for a few weeks as well, coming up soon. But I want to let you know that we have the wonderful and talented U.S. sales manager and social media guru from For Life, Jade Ryden, is coming to do a presentation for us next week on how to do social media right. So I'm looking forward to that one. So if you're on the call right now or watching the live inside our Facebook Inner Circle, number one, join the Inner Circle to make sure you can watch the replay. Number two, invite your team members to join the community. And number three, don't be afraid to share what we love. Just double check that it's not going to cause any issues. That's from my end. Okay. All right. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Fernando. Final words from you, and then we'll close the call for today. Oh, wait, we do have a couple questions. Are you okay for a couple questions?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So before we do final close off, can you Marcos? I think Marcos Barrios,
Yes.
you have a question?
Yes, greetings from South America, Bolivia, Fernando.
Mhm.
Please, some of For Life associates, they have his own websites. What are the suggestions for Life company for we put the name in the for our websites? Do you understand that? What are the suggestions we had? What we have? What is the advice about that?
Hey, it's a great question. It's not an easy question. One of the things that you bring up a good point, because you're talking about the Bolivian market. Bolivian market, not only do they have, I mentioned structure, function, FDA, FTC, and those are the things that we're compliant because it's a U.S. company. There are regulations depending on that specific market. In this case, Bolivia will have limitations on what can be said and cannot be said. And that also applies to the products. A lot of times, if it's classified as a supplement, is it classified certain ingredients in there are supplements, but others are considered a different class, and that varies by country. In and of itself, the website, if you were to create a website, the website does have to be compliant in this case as well with the country that it's from. So in other words, the types of claims you'd be making or you're allowed to be making in Bolivia, the best thing you can do is check with the Bolivia office to see what it is that can be said. You'd have to check with the Bolivia office because there's a few other stipulations that are going to be important to follow. And in this case,
Fernando, sorry for the interruption. And what about emergent countries, markets? The name, how could be?
well, the name, as long as it has any sort of if it makes it clear that it is an independent affiliate or independent, or if it's an affiliate of some sort, you have a lot more wiggle room with the name. But once again, the names cannot be along the lines of a condition or something that's healing. A lot of times you'll find more holistic type names, things that are more general, and those names are accepted.
For example, transfer factor that could be I can use.
Well, it depends on the country. For example, there are countries where you won't be allowed to use it. For example, the term transfer factor is not a term that we can use in places like Mexico.
Okay, thank you so
So
much.
you'd want to be checking with the local country. And to answer your emerging markets, usually the need and the product is fulfilled by us here in the US.
Yes. Thank you so much, Fernando.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
So where does anybody go, Fernando, if they have any specific questions like he just had? Like is there a generic email that they can go to, or do we, like, other than sending them to their country?
Yeah.
Like, is
Jillian, that's a great question. It really depends on the type of question that you're having.
Yeah.
If it's anything with compliance, if it's usually a notification, the easiest, the best recommendation I can give you is the exact same person who sent you the compliance letter. And once again, the best thing there is communication. The quicker you can comply with that letter, the quicker that you're showing. You might not even be making the change right away, but as long as you acknowledge and you send the letter, by the way, Jillian, I am so sorry, I'm making the changes now. And maybe it's 7 days later or 2 weeks later, the initial one is there. They do additional follow-up, but the communication is important. If it's a market for a claim, you'd have to go directly to the office. The customer service of that specific country would probably be the best one along those lines. If it's affiliate conditions with another affiliate, then those can come directly to us.
okay, and that's found on the website, right?
Correct.
Okay, to contact us. Okay, perfect. All right, so in that case, I'm going to say goodbye to you, Fernandez. Final words from you.
No, that we're so proud of the work you're doing. We absolutely love a chance. And anytime we can see how it is that you're sharing, you're talking about the company, how you're sharing about our products. that's the part that we love the most, because it adds fuel. And one of the things that I've always enjoyed my time here at For Life is when David Lisenby, and at the time also when Bianca would go to the office, they were never asking about, hey, how are the sales going? How are these things happen? They would just ask how affiliates were doing, how the For Life family, and the word family gets thrown out there pretty loosely in general. And to me, being at For Life, when they would ask those types of questions, they were asking if you guys felt proud of your company, if they felt like you felt identified, and those things always resonated with me. And that's why I absolutely love and I cherish any chance I get to be able to see how it is that you're working, to see how it is, what we can do as a company to make sure you're more successful, because we tweak our tools, we make things more accessible, we provide better communication channels. And that's why we're proud of what you're doing, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
On that note, thank you very much, Fernando. We're going to close it out for tonight. I really appreciate your being here. We'd love to have you come back. I'd love to fill up the roster with Dave, Fernando, Dave, Alvaro, Dave, you know, we have somebody from a team. I know we can't monopolize all your time, but I really appreciate your effort and contribution today. And please remember, you can watch the live inside the community. We will upload it to YouTube, but we want to try to keep these conversations inside our internal group. And also, please remember, next week, Jade Ryden, social media expert from For Life, will be our special guest. And I want to say thank you to all the new people that showed up tonight. I see a lot of new faces. J. Michael, I know we did spot them, but we have a lot of new people coming in. And keep on inviting, keep on sharing, and don't forget to share that we can do it with fun. All right, so thank you, everybody. I'll see you next week. And don't forget, tonight, it is Detox Diaries with Dr. Ronnie at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow is going to be skincare health inside our Good Health Talks community. Wednesday's business opportunity meeting. A lot of activities. Go to uplinepro.com just to double check the calendar. Lots going on. But thank you, everyone, and have a great day, everybody. Bye, Fernando.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Jillian. Goodbye, everyone.
Gracias, Fernando. Gracias. Thank you so much.